Okay, so today we are going to get into a story that is just wow. It's intense. It starts with a confrontation on a street corner that could have turned deadly. And it ends up giving us this incredible spiritual framework for understanding our most challenging relationships. This isn't just some dramatic story, it's a deep dive into how love and leadership are tested when everything, and I mean everything, is on the line.
And listen, the stakes here could not be higher. This was not just a little argument. We're talking about a conflict between two brothers that had been building and building for 3 years. It got so bad that, as the source puts it, it could have actually become deadly. So you have to wonder, what happens when that kind of tension finally explodes?
All right, so let's go right to that moment, the one where everything came to a head. The scene is set with this one incredibly raw detail. He's standing on a street corner with no shoes on. You can just feel the vulnerability in that, right? He's exposed, caught off guard, and totally unprepared for what's about to go down.
And then, boom, the conflict arrives. And notice the language here. My brother pulled up on me. That is not a friendly hello. That is a challenge. You can feel the energy shift. The tension just spikes in an instant.
And this is the line that lit the fuse. Now, on the surface, "don't be lacking with no shoes on" might just sound like a warning. But here's the context you absolutely need to know. His brother was on cocaine at the time, which made him completely unpredictable. All of a sudden, those words stop sounding like advice and start sounding like a straight-up threat.
The reaction is immediate. It's drastic. But what's so crucial here is the why. This wasn't about wanting to fight his brother. The source makes it really clear that this was a reaction born from past trauma. It was an instinct for self-preservation kicking in, a need to feel safe in a moment that felt totally out of control. So, get this. Picture it. He's in the house, he's loading the clip, about to walk right back outside into a situation that could turn fatal. And in that exact second, his phone rings. But it's not a normal call. It's from a Facebook account he doesn't recognize. No name, no picture. It's the kind of call you or I would probably just ignore, right? But for some reason, he answered it. You see, that phone call wasn't some random coincidence. Not at all. This is where the whole story pivots. We go from a crisis on a street corner to this incredible spiritual lesson. We're about to look at the mechanics behind that perfectly timed intervention.
And this brings us to this amazing concept, relationship authority. The guy on the phone? It was an old friend named Dub. And the idea here isn't that God was, magically talking through Dub's phone. No, it's that God was honoring the influence, the trust that Dub had built and earned over years and years of friendship. It's a really powerful idea.
And the source actually breaks down how this relationship authority works. It uses 4 very practical tools. First, the timing was perfect. Down to the second. Second, it was an interruption of a destructive path. Third, it instantly triggered the memory of a long, deep, respectful friendship. And finally, it was all built on a foundation of love. This is how divine intervention so often works, not with voices from the sky, but through the real, messy, beautiful relationships we have.
And that's really the bottom line. No one else, not his mom, not his dad, nobody could have gotten through to him in that moment. Only Dub. Because Dub had earned that right. And that's why it worked. It wasn't random drama or chaos. It was, in its own way, a perfect example of divine order.
But, saving someone's life in a single moment, that's not the whole story. What happened after that phone call is what really defines this relationship. It moved from this one heroic act to something way more challenging. Just consistent, sustained support. And this distinction is so important. After that day, Dub didn't become a savior. He didn't just swoop in and make all the problems disappear. He became something else, something much more powerful, a source of stability. He didn't take away the struggle. He just provided enough support so that the narrator wouldn't totally collapse under the weight of it. And we're talking about real practical stuff here, like paying the phone bills so they could actually stay in touch, sending some money for food when things were tight, checking in all the time just to see how he was doing. Dub understood the day-to-day grind and just provided enough to keep the ship from sinking. And this is where the story gets bigger than just these two people. It reveals this broader principle, especially for leaders. The goal, a lot of the time, isn't some dramatic last-minute rescue. It's stabilization. It's about getting just enough help to not collapse, while still having to go through the trial and build your own strength, your own endurance. It's a really delicate, divine balance.
Okay, so let's fast forward to today.
Because that same incredibly strong relationship is now facing a totally new kind of test. And in its own way, it's just as tough as that moment on the corner.
So after his father recently passed away, and with some intense financial pressures, the narrator is just completely drained. He is running on empty. He has absolutely nothing left in the tank to give anyone.
But here's the twist. At the exact same time, his rock, the guy who was his source of stability for so long, he's running on empty too. Dub's going through his own stuff. So now the support system is just as depleted as the person who needs it. What do you do then? And this right here is such a key insight. The strain they're feeling now, it's not because the love is gone. The love is still there, for sure. The test is happening because the margin is gone. You know, that extra bit of energy or time or money. When there's no surplus left to give, a relationship gets tested on pure truth. And this isn't a sign that it's failing, it's a sign that it's being refined.
So all this new pressure, it isn't just another problem that needs to be solved. It's actually forcing some much deeper questions about what love and support and leadership are really all about.
And this is the central question it raises. What happens when you can't be the provider anymore? When you can't be the one solving all the problems? When you can't be the source for someone you love? Can you still love them? Can you still be connected? For anyone in a leadership role, that is a huge test of your identity.
And that leads to this critical follow-up question. Does being a good leader, a good friend, mean you have to carry everyone on your back until you break? The source suggests that the real challenge is finding a way to stay connected, to stay aligned, without completely burning yourself out.
So how do we pull all of this together? Well, the final insight kind of reframes this whole struggle. It's not a crisis to fear, but a necessary, even if it's painful, period of growth.
And this is the ultimate lesson. We are not meant to stand alone in this life, but we are meant to stand upright. The goal isn't to somehow avoid all the pressure, it's to endure it in a way that leaves us strong and whole,